A very good day to you, our viewers. Welcome to Chris TV 254. I'm your host, Celine Noela. Today, we'll be covering Multimedia University Decides Part 2, but we'll be unveiling what happened at the Student Center during MUXA elections. I have my co-host, Sydney.
I go by the name Elawanjiko, and today we have our guest.
Okay, I'm Chris Uma. I have been hosting a lot of interviews here, and today I'm being hosted, so it's also a pleasure being part of this.
Yeah, it's a pleasure having you. So you'll tell us about what happened in the Student Center since you covered it live, right?
Mm-hmm.
So voting was supposed to start at 2 p.m., true?
Yeah.
But it started later.
Mm-hmm.
What time did it start and why?
As you've just said, the election of the MUXA officials was supposed to be starting at 2 p.m. That was on Monday, right?
Yes.
6th of Monday. And it happened that it began a little bit late because in the memo they had stated that all the delegates and the candidates were supposed to be seated at around a quarter to 2 p.m. So it reached around 3 p.m. Inside the student center, which was the main now polling station. We were only myself, my cameraman, and there's also one person who was covering the same called Lawrence Nyamwamu, and the electoral body officials. The candidates were nowhere to be seen. The delegates themselves were nowhere to be seen, and as you all know, without the delegates, no election could be done because they were the ones who were supposed to vote in the MUXA officials. So we had to wait, and the dean had to come and was calling the candidates, the presidential candidates. That was Kiama Githuku and Hilary Ayo. Where are you? Where are the delegates? And he told them, when it reaches at 4 p.m., we shall not have elections at any point. So know what you'll do, but we shall not have elections. So it reached 4 p.m. Still no one is there. No presidential candidate, no delegates, no agents. So it was like, shall we really have elections here? So at around 4:30, now we saw the guys coming. The presidential candidates, Hilary Ayo, Kiama, their deputies, the delegates. These are other candidates for different positions such as the finance, sports and entertainment, academics, all were there now. And also their agents had arrived. So the team was complete. And now by quarter to five, something that was supposed to start at 2, now it began quarter to 5. But everything started very well. There was peace, and what you could hear from the delegates now, it was like, now this is the campaigning time. That's what you could hear them saying. Ile ingine haikuwa siasa. Now there was like, oh, nini, you know. So they was talking amongst themselves, but the dean was clear, no campaign is supposed to be done at this stage. So the process began very well, but quarter to 5, and it went on in a peaceful way.
Sorry, I beg to interrupt. The fact that they came in late, not even an hour late, more than 2 hours late, actually 2.75 hours late. Do you think it might have been a conspiracy? Might they have sat down and decided we're not going early? Might they have, according to you, might they have planned something behind us, behind our backs that you don't know, that made them come at a later date?
So it's a very tricky thing, and I cannot conclude that it was a conspiracy, as you said, because personally I went there to cover the electoral process. So all this time I never knew where the delegates were, where the other candidates were, where their agents were. But it raises a lot of questions. How comes that all of them came late, and upon arrival, they arrived at the same time? You see? So it also raises a lot of questions like, where were they? You see, that's now the question. But of course, during that day, they were gold. Delegates were gold, and they knew very well, without them, no elections. Yeah. So personally, I never knew wherever they were, and yeah, I never knew wherever they were. And one of the delegates actually is one of our own in Chris TV 254. This is Tekla Gadoni. She was just sitting beside me there, and yeah, she was one of them. I happened to talk to her after the elections. Yeah.
Okay, we'll get to that.
Sure.
So can you take us through how the environment was in there?
The environment was a very tensed environment. Very tensed environment. And as I told you, we were 3 guys there. Myself, my cameraman, and there was another guy called Lawrence Nyamwamo, even though he's practicing journalism, and he was like, kama mimi nimetense hivi. Sasa hawa macandidates now wametense kiasi gani? Kwa sababu when it reached that point of now vote counting, you could see the tension within the environment there, and everyone was tensed, starting with the candidates. Even the delegates themselves were tensed, you know.
Yeah, like a typical presidential election.
Yeah. So it was a tensed mood, though the whole electoral process was peaceful. That tension, of course, it comes with every election, but it ends after the declaration of winners. Of course, there only has to be a single winner. Yeah.
Yeah, Chris. So we all took part in elections, in voting for our delegates, right? And I was there, and I saw that there were guards, there were security officers at the doors, and you're only being allowed to go in if it was your turn to vote, and if you had a student's ID, right? And if you were on the list. But you managed to get in, and I'd like you to tell our viewers, how did you do that?
The first election, whereby we were electing the delegates, it was easier because all students were allowed to go into the polling stations, which was the student center polling station and the Pavilion B polling stations. So it was easier, though I had the letter from both the dean, the approval from both the head of department and also the dean.
Was that easy?
Of course, you have to explain yourself, and I think we were only 2 bodies that were covering the elections that day, because the dean was very tough and he could not allow any person to capture anything. Yeah, so I had to get the approval from the head of department and the approval from the dean, so that I covered that. Now coming to the second election, which was now the election of the MUXA officials, it was very tough. Yeah, so even the students were now not allowed to go around the student center. All the gates had been locked, and there were security guards there, and they had even deployed the police officers to ensure there is a peace and order in the polling station, both inside and outside. So people were just chanting outside there, but not inside the student center compound. So they were chanting their own candidates of their own choice. So it wasn't tough, and I remember now when I was inside there, it reached a point. I was conversing with our presenter, Sarah Abigail, who was now in the studio. I had to update her everything that is happening there. So I stood. All people now, their eyes are on you because you're the only reporter inside there. Because the other guy was just covering, taking photos and videos. Personally, myself, my role was to go and report. So standing in front of people to give the direction of whatever was happening, yeah, it also calls for courage and confidence, because I had to explain the whole process that is happening inside there, starting from the verification, because it was systematic. Delegates had sat on my left, then on my right there was a table for the electoral body officials. So delegates could be called each by the name. So the delegate comes, picks the ballot paper, heads to the booth, he casts the vote, and he chooses the candidate of his or her own choice, then comes and places the ballot paper in the ballot boxes, because we had around 5 of them. That one for the sports and the entertainment, for finance, for general secretary, then there is another one. There were around 5 for presidential, of course. Then that one for health and special needs, it had one candidate, so he was unopposed, so he had just won it automatically. Yeah, so that is how it was. So it calls for confidence to stand there and explain to everyone. Oh yeah, all eyes are on you, because now when you're standing there explaining, now they focus on you. Yeah.
So did you get time to communicate with your head of commission? So the one was counting the ballots.
I accessed them, and I talked to them. I told them I would like to have an interview with you concerning the whole electoral process. And they said, we have begun late. We can do that after declaration of the presidential winner. After the declaration of the presidential winner, everyone was like, inside the room. Even you couldn't interview anyone. Yeah. The candidates for this, the president-elect Hillary Ayo, were now jumping up and down, the hugs. Outside here now, they had opened the gates, and all the students were now in the student center compound, and it was noisy celebrations, except for Team Kiama now. Now it's a moment now we are hit. See? Expecting to have won, it had lost by 3. And something that was very funny is, like, even before they finished after finishing the counting now, before the declaration of winners, something tricky happened. Both Kiama and Hillary jumped in air. You see, it's like, oh, I've won it. They hug their respective deputies. Are you hugging Sharon Omburo, and Kiama hugging Rhoda Mbatiani, knowing, oh, my side has won it, and the other team also, my side has won it. So only to be told it's Hillary who has won it. So now Team Kiama now remained perplexed. Now looking at the delegate side, of course, now the Team Hillary delegates, those who had voted Hillary, were jumping in air. Those for Kiama had sunk in their seats. So it was very funny, actually.
So Chris, as you had said earlier, our own Tekla, she won a delegate seat, right? She was also among the ones voting. Did you get to talk to her? Did you get to hear what she had to say about the voting and everything?
Yeah, I talked to Tekla. I don't know if she was Team Kiama, because she was in a morning. She had won a morning face, so I don't know if she was Team Kiama. But I happened to talk to her and to explain to me the whole experience, how she felt having contested for the very first time in this university and winning the delegate seat. She was actually happy to express. She expressed her gratitude to everyone that voted her in as the delegate, and she said it was a good stepping stone, or the first important step in the political life. So she was happy, and she said she will live to remember those moments after winning the delegate seat, and also the moments in the polling station in the STC. Kulikuwa salama. Yeah. Natamani mungekuwepo. Maanake kulikuwa na mengi sana kule mazuri ya kushuhudia. Yeah.
Next time.
Yeah. Tutakutuma. Ila nashukuru pia kulikuwa na usalama, na unajua siasa kitu chochote kinatokea. na kunaweza tokea ghasia nini, na nadhani shule na tume ya uchaguzi pia ya chuo kikuu cha Multimedia kilikuwa kimejipanga, na ndio sababu kulikuwa na utulivu kuanzia mwanzo hadi mwisho, na ndio sababu iliniwia rahisi sana kuwasiliana na Sabi ambaye alikuwa kwa studio zetu, kumwambia kila kitu ambacho kinaendelea pale, manake kila kitu kilikuwa kwa njia ya utulivu, kinafanyika kwa njia ambayo ya utaratibu, na lilikuwa ni jambo jema. Na jinsi nakwambia, labda kura za mwakani utaenda utupe habari mbashara kutoka hayo maeneo ambayo yatakuwa yameteuliwa kama sehemu za kupigia kura. Kwa hivyo jiandae. Tutaongea na wale ambao wanahusika ili utuwakilishe.
Tumekuwa na hayo tu kwa leo.
Alafu kuna kitu nilikuwa nimesahau.
Okay.
Kabla tujarap. Nilizungumza na huyu Mitunda Clinton, pia ni mmoja wetu hapa Chris TV, na alishinda nafasi ya waziri wa michezo na burudani, and he was very happy having won it. Also his agent, this guy Dola Mandela is one of us. He was his agent, so it was actually happy, and seeing that Mitunda has won the sports and entertainment position. So we had our own people there, starting with Tekla Gadhoni, Dola Mandela, Mitunda Clinton. Walituwakilisha vizuri, na ni jambo ambalo labda pia linatupa nguvu sisi wengine wale ambao wana nia ya kuingia kwa siasa waweze kuingia wakiwa na courage. Na pia niliongea na Githuku Kiama after having lost. He has been a good friend of mine. Initially there were 3 presidential candidates. Sheldon Washa, the current president, Githuku Kiama, and the president-elect Hillary Ayo. We even had the presidential debate, you remember? So I happened to talk to Kiama after the declaration of the presidential elections or results, after Hillary had been declared, I beg your pardon, as the president-elect of the Multimedia University. So I approached Kiama and told him, you fought a good fight. Losing by only 3 votes, it means he had actually done good campaigns. So he had fought it very well, though he lost by 3. So I approached him and asked him, do you have the question I remember asking him, do you have the courage to talk to us as media? And he said, Chris, you know me very well. Anytime you've called me, I have always availed myself. And in politics, there is winning, there is losing. So this cannot make me not maybe fail to talk to media. And you are the only media station that is now inside here. So I'm free. Talk to me. Call your camera guy. Talk to me. So I liked his humility. To say so. I liked his humility, and we just went besides the STC main entrance gate. Then I asked him some questions. He expressed gratitude. He thanked all those delegates who voted who voted for him, and all those students, the thousands of them who had trust in him. But of course, he promised to be a strong opposition leader. And the good thing is that Sheldon Washa, the outgoing president, Githuku Kiama, and the president-elect Hillary Ayo, they are good friends, and they said, okay, we are brothers, and politics cannot divide us. Yes. So wewe ingia, mwenye ataingia aingie, na kama utataka hoja zetu kuzitekeleza, tekeleza. Yule ambaye atakuwa kwa upande wa upinzani, naye pia awe strong. So the 3 of them said there is no handshake in their governments. That was during the presidential debate. At that, there were 3. So after some time, Sheldon Washa stepped down to leave Githuku Kiama and Hillary Ayo to contest for the presidential seat. So all of them said no handshake. Opposition leader wawe strong ili the government ifanye kazi. So I talked to him, and he talked to us. He accepted to talk to us, and as I said earlier, I just liked his humility. and that is how we wrapped the day in celebrations, of course, for the winning side, and for those who lost, maybe there is always next time. Yeah, that's what I can say. There is always next time. Yeah.
And we are very happy for what happened, and we'd like to compliment Kiama for he was really brave. It's not normal. Normally, leaders, once they've lost the elections, they mobilize their people to fight, right? And he was really wise, and he maintained peace. And the elections turned out well.
And that's why I told you I liked his humility to talk to us and say, okay, I am taking this opportunity to talk to media to express my gratitude to the thousands who trusted in me and to the delegates who voted me, who cast their vote for me. You see, so it's the spirit of leaders we want. Or even if you lose, you have to appreciate those who stood with you, starting from campaigns till those who voted you. And what I can just say is, I believe he's a guy who can do well in politics. You remember his movement has been Sankara movement,
Yes.
being inspired by the former Burkina Faso military officer and president Thomas Isidore Sankara. So I believe he still has the capability to be a good leader, not only in campus but also national politics. And I can say aendelee hivyo. Maybe there is God plans for us at his own time. Maybe his time has not yet come. And also to the team Hillary now, we also have a reason to congratulate them. Yeah, it was a good race and they won it. So they knew, that's why I told you, it was not easy to know who is going to win it, especially during vote counting. Hungejua kwamba nani atashinda. Unaona? Like it was Kiama, 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 Ayo, 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 Kiama, Kiama. So there was a difference of 2, 3, 5. So that's why at the end, it came to be out that the winner defeated the other guy with only 3 votes. So it was a very tight race, and we congratulate him, Hillary, and we wish them the very best in their regime, 2023-2024 regime. May they deliver for our great university. Yeah.
So that was the interview.
So hamna swali jingine?
Tukipata tutakuwa na part 3.
Part 3, sawa, nasubiri.
So it was the host,
And I, Cinderella. Until next time, goodbye. Bye.
Bye bye.